Good morning. With all due respect to the congressional leaders in the room, friends and colleagues who labor together, and those who are testifying today, I'm Bishop Vashti McKenzie, the interim president and general secretary of the National Council of Churches. We are a 67-year-old organization comprising 37 denominations, 30 million people, representing 100,000 congregations. Hear the word of the Lord. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor. The National Council of Churches heeds the call of Scripture to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. In the last several years, the failure of Congress to renew and extend various legislation has made life harder for individuals and families with children. Children and families are vulnerable. They are vulnerable to poverty, vulnerable due to a lack of proper health care, and they are vulnerable due to the lack of adequate resources. And so Congress must act now. We implore you to enact positive change for the fate of millions of children. Hear the word of the Lord. But if anyone has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against them, how can you say God's love abide in you? Let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth. Have you met Michael? Michael is the third grade student in elementary school down the street from the church that I pastored in Baltimore City. Michael would get himself up early in the morning to go to school because that's where his two main meals are. And when there is no school, there is no meal.
Shame.
Hear the word of the Lord. Whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord. He will repay him for his deed. Have you met Carlos and Irma? They stand at the same traffic stop with their infant, begging for enough money to spend the night in a motel so they don't have to spend the night under the bridge. Their job disappeared with COVID, and their landlord put them out. Have you met Mamie? Mamie, her polling place was moved further away from where she lives. At her age, she no longer drives, and she's worried about getting to the new polling place, standing in line for long hours without food or water so she can take her medication on time. There is power to disrupt poverty for millions of Americans in this room, and there is power in this room to increase their burden. Which path will you take? There is power in this room to disrupt voter suppression and make sure that elections are safe and fair. And there's also power in this room to increase toxic, divisive behavior. There is power in this room to be generous, to change the narrative and set an example to stand for and stand with those who are suffering from racism, discrimination, and those who have been marginalized, excluded, and exploited by others who have been treated as less than human instead of being embraced as siblings and people of equal dignity and worth. There is power in this room and an opportunity to be a champion of living wage, fair voting laws, children, and vulnerable populations. Lord, when did we see you hungry? When did we see you thirsty? When did we see you in prison? When did we see you living out of your car? When did we see you going to church without shoes? When did we see you searching through garbage for food to eat because the school is closed? When did we see you working 2-3 jobs just to make up one whole paycheck? As you've done it unto the least of these, you've done it unto me. The choice is yours. Which way will you use your power? Do what is right, not what is expedient or politic.